Hey, it's Mr.Freaky, and tonight we're diving into one of the most bizarre remnants of the animatronic era, Looney Bird. The strange vulture who would poke his head out of an oil drum and spout messages to the crowd during Showbiz Pizza performances. Most people remember his jokes as harmless, but there were rumors that sometimes, during late shows, Looney Bird would say things that would seem to go off script. Lines that no writer would have ever written. Tonight's story is about an unlucky repairman who found out exactly what the origins for those rumors really were.
The email came in through the contact form on my animatronic repair site. I didn't get a lot of gigs through it, but I did always enjoy them. I mostly repaired cars and stereos and stuff, so it was always a nice change of pace. They told me they had an old Showbiz Pizza animatronic band, still running in some little restaurant out in a rural town about 2 hours outside the city. Their Looney Bird animatronic, which was Billy Bob the Bear's sidekick, didn't seem to be working right. No other details, just an address and a time to show up. The drive felt really long, and my GPS started getting screwy about 20 miles in. The road narrowed until it was just 2 cracked lanes, pushing through nothing but thick pine trees. Towards the end, I didn't pass a single other car for miles. Suddenly the building appeared over the top of the hill in front of me, looking as if it had grown out of a patch of trees. A sign at the front read, "Looney's Pies and Prizes," with a cartoon vulture balancing a slice of pizza on its beak. The parking lot was half asphalt, half dirt, and nearly empty. The front doors opened as I pulled into a spot. Out came a dirty man covered in sauce stains, with his name stitched in red on a patch on his chest. Tommy. His smile was wide, but somehow as empty as it was long. Behind him stood a thin woman in a spotless apron, with a name tag also, reading Kathy, neatly stuck to it. Her braid hung beside it as straight as a rope. Tommy introduced himself to me and weirdly patted me on the chest, leaving some kind of weird muddy residue from his hand. I was a bit annoyed by this, but I was in my work clothes anyways, so I shrugged it off. The air inside the place smelled like old fryer oil, and the walls were covered in this cheap wood paneling. A few arcade machines blinked weakly in front of a musky old stage stretched across the back wall. Atop of it was the old Rock Afire Explosion in all its glory. I focused my sights on the old oil drum, with Looney Bird peeking out, eyelids unnaturally wide. Only a handful of patrons were scattered throughout the place. A family of 4 sat stiff at a center table, barely moving. Then an old man in a bow tie ate slowly at another, his eyes blank. A teenager in a staff shirt wiped a table repeatedly in a circular fashion. No one in the whole place was speaking at all. It was bizarre. Tommy ushered me up on stage and led me behind the curtain. The control rack was ancient, dusty boards, tangled wiring, and 2 cassette decks. One was running, the other sat dead, a tape inside labeled Show A, Old. Tommy powered up the system. The lights came on and the band jerked to life. The music started as the animatronics creaked through their motions, like puppets being dragged by strings. Then the Looney Bird popped up from the oil drum, his beak opening wide.
Have we done this show already? I swear we've done this before. Over and over and over and...
Tommy muttered something about it always getting stuck on that line. Apparently it was not getting access to the rest of its sound library either. Just kept doing that same phrase. The crowd clapped in eerie unison as the show ended, and then stared blankly as if waiting for another one to begin. When the curtains closed, I opened the oil drum's back panel. The smell hit me. Mildew and rot. It was strong. Then I saw the wires. They were spliced and taped, framing hacked with a saw. The jaw motor housing was barely even hanging on. I leaned closer to try and check one of the hoses when I heard a whisper. It was barely more than a breath. The weird thing about it was it didn't sound like a recording. It was like someone in the room with me had said it.
Sir,
Tommy yelled from the control board.
"We're thinking it might be a fuse in the show control. Come take a look at this."
Trying to shrug off what I'd just heard, I walked back toward the show controller. It was getting close to closing time, so Tommy and Kathy went back to the kitchen to start kneading the dough for the next day, leaving me to work on the show by myself. I swapped out a couple fuses that seemed like they may have burned out and reset the show. Starting up another performance, the bird repeated the phrase again, the same timing, the same dragged out pause. I traced the wiring and found a hidden latch beneath a carpet under the show. There were a couple of wires running to it, and a bolted lock at the top. I remember there being a ring of keys hanging on a wall behind the curtain backstage. I figured I would go grab it and see if I could check what the show was being wired to beneath the floor. I grabbed the ring of keys and returned to the hatch. The lock turned with a heavy click. The hatch creaked open, and I lowered myself into a narrow crawl space beneath the stage. It smelled worse down there, like damp wood mixed with something metallic. At the end of the cramped tunnel sat a glass container wired directly into the show's control rack. At first I thought it was some kind of old hydraulic tank, but as my flashlight beam landed on it, I froze. Floating inside it was a body, rotting and unrecognizable. A dark, swollen shape pulsed faintly at the center of it, like a heart barely clinging to life. Suddenly, from the stage above, the Looney Bird animatronic jolted back to life.
I swear we've done this before! Over and over!
I noticed the line seemed to have not gotten stuck that time around. Then the bloody blob shifted and slammed against the glass, like it was trying to beg for help. I scrambled out of there, slamming the hatch shut behind me. My chest was heaving. When I staggered off the stage, Tommy and Kathy were standing there, outside of the kitchen, both smiling wide, like they'd been waiting for me.
I see you fixed our Looney Bird. Or maybe he fixed you.
I didn't even respond to them. I just bolted out the doors and into my van. I drove like hell, not even watching the speedometer. Trees whipped by, the road stretching forward forever. I told myself if I just kept driving, I'd hit the highway. I'd be free of that place. After what felt like an hour, the woods thinned and the glow of neon cut through the dark. My stomach dropped. The sign was there again. Loonies, pies, and prizes. The same cartoon vulture grinning as if it had been expecting me. My van shuddered as I pulled into the lot, not knowing what else to do. There was no way I could have gotten turned around. There was only one road out of this place. Horrified, I looked down and noticed a patch with my name on it, now somehow stitched onto my overalls. I realized at that point, the Looney Bird was never broken at all. And as far as his line goes, I guess he was telling the truth.